All right. Greetings. How you doing? How's everybody feeling? Hopefully the hum is not too loud. I can hear the hum on my headphones, but I don't know how loud the hum is for y'all. But greetings, salutations. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Because it surely is. Good to see y'all. We're live on Rockfin. Oh, yeah. I saw that the other day. There's flooding in Mecca and other places in the Middle East. Thanks for dropping that in the chat, Denver. We're also live on Callin. Oh, geez. I had another I had another post about this flooding. But we're going to talk about actually. Oh, I'm going to show this real quick. We're going to talk about geoengineering. Say what? We're going to talk about some geoengineering things going on. Mecca flooded. Officials in Mecca warned residents not to leave homes due to the severity of flash flooding that struck the city on Friday. Cloud seeding is seen as a viable, environmentally friendly way to increase water supplies in Saudi Arabia. So I see the slant on this. Is that they're geoengineering these floods to be so bad. And maybe they are. I don't know. However, there are other things going on too. There are actually, real changes to the climate happening. And it's hard to know. It's hard to know what's really going on. I think to pick a side that one is happening and the other is absolutely not happening. Like geoengineering is the cause of all of our problems and the weather, and there's no climate change. That's a ridiculous point of view. And it's only climate change is happening, and there's absolutely no geoengineering or no mucking about with the weather. That's absolutely untrue. That's a ridiculous point to take, I think, as well. I think all of the above. Yes, Max Sarja. Yes, I said that I was going to repost the link to my T-shirts. Just real quick before I get into some more news today. A really good way to support the show is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. You can buy me a coffee or several coffees if you want to support the show. That's probably one of the best ways to do it. Also, Rockfin tips are really great ways to support the show. But I also have I have T-shirts, Black Bear News T-shirts, and some other T-shirts that are pertaining to the channel. These are T-shirts that have been up there for a couple of years, but thinking about some new designs. Anyways, if you want to cop a Black Bear News T-shirt, they're in the link in the description box of all the platforms that I'm on: Callin, Rockfin, YouTube. Excuse me. And I'll check out, if you want to leave me a note with the buy me a coffee or Rockfin tips or whatever, then please feel free to do so, and I will read it on air later. Black Bear News T-shirts and merch in the description box, yes. But is this a climate change thing or is this a geoengineering thing? It's hard to know. They are doing cloud seeding, a lot of cloud seeding in the Middle East. They are, and that's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact that's been admitted to and written about, so, in several places. I've read several articles about it. China is also openly doing geoengineering. They openly want to control their access to rainwater. Choir Boy on Rockfin asks, how about geoengineering is being used to try and hide the effects of ACD? Yes. That's another thing that I've talked about quite a bit. Actually, it was crazy. Okay, so I told you that let's see if I can see if this will work. I don't know if it'll work. Every time I try and play something from my Google Drive, it never really works. But I uploaded this earlier in the hopes that it would actually work out for me today. But we all know about the best laid hopes. Anyways, it's been really, really warm in Los Angeles compared to the rest of the country. And I know people are still going through it with the cold weather in the rest of the country. Man, can you just give me my drive? Can you open up the Google Drive? It's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, I don't have high hopes for this today, but maybe it'll work. Huh. Yeah, I definitely did upload something today, but I don't know where it is. Hold on one second. Oh, I know what happened. Pardon me. Maybe I'll do the old school show it from my phone because I just can't deal with it right now. Andre said, I'm reducing my meals to one a day, getting ready for the famine. I mean, not a bad way to go. If you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Adapt, get your body ready for some tougher times. It's probably a good way to go. If you're somebody who is absolutely falls apart, if you are without one of your modern conveniences in your life, that might be a bad place to be. You might be setting yourself up for some real discomfort. I feel like I've entered a rabbit hole here. Well, anyways, I don't know if I can do this because I'm live on Callin, so I don't think that's going to work out. I tried to upload a video. I'll just tell you about it, and then you can believe me or don't. So it's been very warm in Los Angeles, unseasonably warm and strangely warm. And on Christmas Day, it was just ridiculously. It was. They said it was 80 degrees. It felt more like 85. It was very warm. And what? Here's the thing I noticed. It was very clear in the morning. However, as the afternoon progressed, um, on, I noticed that there were just clouds like right in front of the sun, but nowhere else in the sky. And I was like, oh, that's I don't know. I see certain types of clouds, and they look unreal to me. They look not natural or normal to me. So I noticed that there were a bunch of clouds like right in front of the sun, happenstance. And as the day progressed, the clouds just kept following the sun. They just kept being right in front of the sun, and nowhere else in the sky at the end of the day. Here's this patch of clouds right in front of the sun on the horizon. I'm like, wow, the clouds just move with the sun. Is that what happened? I had somebody try to tell me that, oh, that's how it works, sir. Oh, maybe I'll try and show it for the screen. I don't. Hopefully, this doesn't disrupt Colin. I'm really hoping this doesn't knock me out of Colin, but we'll show this video here. But let me get to the beginning. All right, guys, here you go. This is professional. It's how it's done professionally. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. So the clouds have been tracking the sun all day. This is Christmas Day 2022. Are there any other clouds anywhere else in the sky? Over here, back behind me. Over here. Nope, not really, but lots of clouds over here. Really? Okay, right. This has been happening all day where the clouds just track the sun. These are fake clouds. That's my own commentary on it, of course. Own thoughts. Um, and I actually personally believe that this has been going on for quite a while, and that the whole geoengineering uh, conversation is somewhat ridiculous. Well, we're going to talk about it for a second. First of all, let's talk about a few other things before we get there to this article. It's a surprising article and a surprising admission by a company who is going to invest and basically start a geoengineering process. Just bootstrapping it, just getting out there and just starting consequences be damned. Consequences be damned. Denver says, according to authority, there are 12 new cloud types. 12 new cloud types. That's funny. Of course. You know those weird stringy spiderweb looking clouds that come from contrails? Like, well, these are all my own opinions, and I would like to see more evidence either way on any of this. But what we do have officially admitted evidence around certain things that are happening as far as contrails and cloud seeding and geoengineering. Right? There are admissions that yes, we are doing this particular thing over here because fill in the blank. We're controlling the weather in Mexico because Volkswagen, the company, the corporation, admitted to weather manipulation because they make their cars in Mexico and they have their cars sitting out in the open. And there's, I guess, wherever they're made is susceptible to hailstorms. And so they have admitted to manipulating the weather to produce less hail so that their cars don't get destroyed by hailstorms. This is a factual, information. It's out there. It's publicly accessible information. Yes, obsolete optics. Ground-based cloud seeders are called AHA. Yes, and they have those. Those are things that are happening. Okay, so quickly, Poppy sent me this. I feel like I'm getting bogged down into alleyways of thought. From Ben C. Global heating will set the stage for extreme weather everywhere in 2023. The consequences are likely to be cataclysmic. I don't know if I just need to read the thread. 1.5C could well hit for the first time in coming years. They've already acknowledged that. The World Meteorological Organization has admitted to that. Anyways, let's look at this article from Wired. El Nino is coming and the world isn't prepared. Global heating will set the stage for extreme weather everywhere in 2023. The relentless increase in global heating will continue, bringing ever more disruptive weather that is the signature calling card of accelerating climate breakdown. According to NASA, 2022 was one of the hottest years ever recorded on Earth. This is extraordinary because a recurrent climate pattern across the tropical Pacific, known as ENSO or El Nino, was in its cool phase, otherwise known as La Nina. During this phase, the waters of the equatorial Pacific are noticeably cooler than normal, which influences weather patterns around the world. One consequence of La Nina is that it helps keep a lid on global temperatures. This means that despite the recent widespread heat waves, wildfires, and droughts, we have actually been spared the worst. The scary thing is that this La Nina will end and eventually transition into the better known El Nino, which sees the waters of the equatorial Pacific becoming much warmer. When it does, the extreme weather that has rampaged across our planet in 2021 and 2022 will pale into insignificance. Well, yeah. And the last time there was an El Nino was around 2016. And that was the beginning of like a streak of extreme weather years. And as El Nino waned and La Nina picked up, the extreme weather has only continued and accelerated. So that's concerning, right? Because the next time El Nino kicks in, it will kick in some other extreme weather events that are probably going to be much more harsh, right? Harsher, more extreme heat waves, storms, droughts, etc., right? Anyways, current forecast suggests that La Nina will continue into early 2023, making it fortuitously for us one of the longest on record. It began in spring 2020. Then the equatorial Pacific will begin to warm again. Whether or not it becomes hot enough for a fully fledged El Nino to develop, 2023 has a very good chance. Without the cooling influence of La Nina of being the hottest year on record. But we just heard that we've had the hottest year on record without the help of El Nino. So there you go. A global average temperature rise of 1.5 C is widely regarded as marking a guardrail beyond which climate breakdown becomes dangerous. Above this figure, our once stable climate will begin to collapse in earnest, becoming all-pervasive, affecting everyone and insinuating itself into every aspect of our lives. If you doubt this, that's fine. Just hang out and see what happens. Hopefully you don't live in one of the places that's getting frozen, to obliteration right now. Hopefully you don't live in a place that's going to be flooded out next summer or spring. Hopefully you don't live in a house along the coast of Florida or the Carolinas that will fall into the ocean. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. I don't wish that on anybody. But if and when it does happen to you, I don't know, perhaps you will understand. Um, anyways, and all we know what all of this means, right? I don't need to go into. I think everybody understands what it all means. Joseph Wood says they got better at chemming. Kevin Shanholzer says right whales will be extinct sooner than expected. Excuse me. 12 new cloud types. Guys, all of a sudden the Earth is making new clouds. I wonder what's going on. Can I actually see this article? I'm not sure. The heck? That's odd. I don't know, Denver. They are they gonna show me this? No. I can't really see it. Oh, thanks for the tip, Kevin Shanholzer. I appreciate it. On Rockfin, thank you so much. I'll acknowledge that again later, and we'll read the comment later. Yes, so y'all can send me buy me a coffee or a Rockfin tip. I'll check in with you guys a little bit later on that. William Dillon says people want to believe in God and Santa, not so much in climate warming. Yeah, it's icky. It doesn't feel good. And we don't like things that don't feel good. God forbid you don't feel good. Snow NATO is another. I've been talking about the terms that we've been hearing a lot. Bomb cyclone. What the hell? That's not right. Bomb cyclone. Atmospheric river, polar vortex. What are the other words? A mega drought. I don't know. No filming at Lake Mead anymore because the water's too low, and we don't want people to be. We don't want to frighten all the good folks of planet Earth. Winter Storm Elliott brings snow NATO. Then there's also fire NATO. Snow NATO and fire NATO are new words in the lexicon. That's what a snow NATO looks like. Snow NATO. I mean, I don't know. It looks like a dust devil to me, or I mean, we have those all the time in California. But that certainly sucks when people are just flying off the roads. Okay.
Christmas nightmare in the Buffalo, New York area, where Winter Storm Elliott has left at least 25 people dead. Bodies were found in cars.
You guys want to hear the rest of that?
Outside and in homes. Among the victims are people who ventured out despite a travel ban, and others who died while shoveling or snowblowing. Horrendous blizzard conditions brought winds around 70 miles per hour and 49 inches of snow. hundreds of cars are abandoned or stuck on local roads, and plows still aren't able to reach some areas. A travel ban remains in effect in some parts of Erie County, and other areas are under an advisory. Another 6 to 12 inches of snow is possible in the region through Tuesday.
Scene from a blockbuster movie, Frozen comes to life. This was the result after a blizzard kicks up.
They just show endless clips like that. But we know what's going on, and it's a good one. That's no good. Haha. D-Truth. Judy Truitt says, I'm watching Simon Brewer drive around Buffalo. He's gotten stuck at least once. Some people are looting stores. That'll happen. There's a post from Peter Dines. Every fire engine in the city of Buffalo is stuck in the snow, according to Kathy Hochul. So how do cities prepare to rescue people when climate change starts throwing these storms around? The current infrastructure is totally inadequate for what's coming. That's true. That is true. When our modern conveniences start failing us, then things start getting real. Right? Things start getting really real. This is crazy. I saw this and I was like, yeah, sounds good. Sounds great. A startup says it's begun releasing particles into the atmosphere in an effort to tweak the climate. Make Sunsets is already attempting to earn revenue for geoengineering, a move likely to provoke widespread criticism. Startup claims it has launched weather balloons that may have released reflective sulfur. We may have we don't know. May have released reflective sulfur particles in the stratosphere. What? Potentially crossing a controversial barrier in the field of solar geoengineering. So isn't this kind of how it works anyways? With science or anything, or just the moving forward of industrial civilization and humans. Like, we just, they just do it, and then they worry about the consequences later. Oh, we're just going to do it. Oh, we shouldn't have done that? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we'll stop doing that. They continue doing that. Geoengineering refers to a deliberate effort to manipulate the climate by reflecting more sunlight back into space, mimicking a natural process that occurs in the aftermath of large volcanic eruptions. In theory, spraying sulfur and similar particles in sufficient quantities could potentially ease global warming. It's not technically difficult to release such compounds into the stratosphere, but scientists have mostly, though not entirely, refrained from carrying out even small-scale outdoor experiments. That's just absolute bonkers dumb. Like, if you actually believe that they, they don't, no, we don't know. We don't want to do it. Come on. Come on. They know all about this. It's not clear that any have yet injected materials into the specific layer of the atmosphere in the context of geoengineering-related research. No, I don't believe you. That's in part because it's highly controversial. Little is known about the real-world effects of such deliberate interventions at large scales. But they could have dangerous side effects. The impacts could also be worse in some regions than others, which could provoke geopolitical conflicts. It's interesting. I've been reading that book, The Ministry for the Future, or of the Future, Ministry of the Future, for the Future. I forget. You know which book I'm talking about. But early in the book, they were talking about Um uh, so it's like 2023 or 2022. It's right now. And there's a deadly heat wave in India. Millions of people die. Uh, you know, uh, so this provokes like kind of an emergency reaction from the world. Obviously they have the UN and other organizations have created like a dedicated agency, which is dubbed Ministry for the Future or of the Future. Anyways, to deal with this, but anyways, in the aftermath of this heat wave, India says, "Well, you guys, the Western world, the developed countries, all you brought this upon us. You brought this cataclysm upon us. We're going to start our own geoengineering so we can save our people, so we can stop having this happen on a local level." And everybody's like, "Oh my God, you can't do that." And they're like, "Screw you, we're going to do it. We're just going to do it. We don't care. You guys don't have no authority over us, and you're not going to tell us what to do. And we are interested in saving ourselves in the short term. So we're just gonna do it. We're gonna start sending thousands of planes up in the sky and start a massive geoengineering campaign." And I don't know how much is going on or how little is going on. I'm pretty certain that they already know everything they need to know about it. I'm pretty certain that they're already doing some forms of it. I'm pretty certain that they understand that planes create contrails, and these contrails can block the sun. That is a cooling effect. And so it's with thousands of planes in the sky already all the time, it's very simple to just, create some of these long-lasting contrails that can block the sun. That's called geoengineering as well. That's gives a cooling effect. That doesn't necessarily even have to include sulfur or whatever particles. It could just be these are long-lasting contrails. So you don't even have to have this particular technology that they're talking about. Some researchers who have long studied the technology are deeply troubled that the company makes sunsets appears to have moved forward with launches from a site in Mexico without any public engagement or scientific scrutiny. It's already attempting to sell cooling credits for future balloon flights that could carry larger payloads. This is pretty wild. This sounds like a chapter out of Ministry of the Future. This sounds like a chapter out of a sci-fi book, right? So the world was hurtling towards some kind of biosphere collapse, and in the end, you had companies and countries just going out and doing it, setting forward these geoengineering programs just all on their own, just kind of daring the world, like, okay, stop me. Or buy my products, or buy my cooling credits, or guys, how about some funding? All you tech moguls out there, you understand what's going on. You fully know what's coming down the pike, right? You know what's going on. I'm sure that you could throw us a couple mil or a couple bill in funding, throw it our way, because you know this is happening. It sounds like science fiction, and now the science fiction is now here. It's no longer fiction. They're attempting to sell cooling credits for future balloon flights that could carry larger payloads. Do you think that some other entities might be behind this company, Make Sunsets? Is this just a random corporation that just sprang up all out of the blue, or does this company maybe have some ties to some other entities, perhaps? This is wild, though. Several researchers at MIT Technology Review spoke with condemned the effort to commercialize geoengineering at this early stage. Some potential investors and customers who have reviewed the company's proposals say that it's not a serious scientific effort or a credible business, but more of an attention grab designed to stir up controversy in the field. Luke Eisman, the co-founder of and CEO of Make Sunsets, acknowledges that the effort is part entrepreneurial and part provocation. An act of geoengineering activism. This doesn't even sound... Everything about this sounds extremely bizarre. I don't know. Is it just me? It sounds really weird. He hopes that by moving ahead in the controversial space, the startup will help drive the public debate and push forward a scientific field that has faced great difficulty carrying out small-scale field experiments and criticism. We joke / not joke that this is partly a company and partly a cult, he says. What? We joke about this being a cult. Eisman, previously a director of hardware at Y Combinator. I've heard that name before. Says he expects to be pilloried by both geoengineering critics and researchers in the field for taking such a step, and he recognizes that making me look like the Bond villain is going to be helpful to certain groups, but he says climate change is such a grave threat, and the world has moved so slowly to address the underlying problem that more radical interventions are now required. It's morally wrong, in my opinion, for us not to be doing this, he says. What's important is to do this as quickly and safely as we can. Dedicated experts in the field think such efforts are wildly premature and could have the opposite effect from what Eisman expects. The current state of science is not good enough to either reject or to accept, let alone implement solar geoengineering. Wrote Janos Pastor, executive director of the Carnegie Climate Governance Initiative, in an email. The initiative is calling for oversight of geoengineering and other climate-altering technologies, whether by governments, international accords, or scientific bodies. To go ahead with implementation at this stage is a very bad idea, he added, comparing it to Chinese scientist He Jianku's decision to use CRISPR to edit the DNA of embryos while the scientific community was still debating the safety and ethics of such a step. Well, let me tell you how much they don't care about safety and ethics. That's where I've heard that. Creative Experiment says Y Combinator is notorious for bankrupt startups in Silicon Valley, like incubators for software startup. This is programmers moving into climate markets. That is not good. Yes. This is very concerning. The company's behavior plays into long-held fears that a rogue actor with no particular knowledge of atmospheric science or implications of the technology could unilaterally choose to geoengineer the climate. I don't know. I think there are a lot of rogue actors out there that care not for the safety of the planet or the safety of people or the ethics involved. I skipped a paragraph, did I? Oh, you're right. Suchi Talati, a scholar in residence at American University who's forming a nonprofit focused on governance and justice in solar geoengineering, says Make Sunsets actions could set back the scientific field, reducing funding, dampening government support for trusted research, and accelerating calls to restrict studies. Personally, this is just my own personal observation. This is my own opinion. I think this is an attempt to kind of reveal that this has been going on anyways. Right? They're going to do this, and people are going to, oh my God, you can't do this. And they're going to, it's going to open the door for them to acknowledge that this has already been going on. My thoughts. That's my thoughts personally, right? Because I've been talking about this for years. I've been talking about this for years on my show, where I think they are. Obviously, I think this has already been going on. And I think it's kind of ludicrous to think that it's not going on. Sorry if I offend anybody, but all of this, David Keith at Harvard, and they're we're going to test it out, every single year. Oh, we're about to test it. Oh, we're going to test it in Arizona. No, we're not going to test it in Arizona. We're going to test it in Sweden. Oh, we're going to test it over here, right? So, they keep saying, oh, we're going to inch this out and move this forward, and people are like, no, I don't think you can do that. And then you just have this rogue company in Mexico going, we're doing it, right? Is a very convenient way to just, oh, we did it. Oh, these guys, they did it anyways. Oh, these kooky nuts in Mexico who are not affiliated with Harvard or David Keith or anybody whatsoever. Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. These are just random people. You see where I'm going with this? And then they do it anyways, right? It creates like a backdoor for this to go forward and push this out, and then they do it anyways, much to the chagrin and the the pearl clutching and then later, a couple of years from now, they're like, well, it's already been happening, so we might as well just go forward, right? Or look what we found out, it's perfectly safe. Or something. Or, France's military or Chinese military or Russia's military, some military will go like, oh, yeah, we've been doing this. They're going to come out and just admit, oh, we know all about this. We've been doing this for years. What? The company's behavior plays into long-held fears that a rogue actor with no particular knowledge of atmospheric science or the implications of technology could unilaterally choose to geoengineer the climate without any kind of consensus around whether it's okay to do so or what the appropriate global average temperature should be. That's because it's relatively cheap and technically simple to do, at least in a crude way. David Victor, a political scientist at the University of California, San Diego, warned of such a scenario more than a decade ago. Oh, he warned about it. A green finger, self-appointed protector of the planet could force a lot of geoengineering on his own, he said, invoking the Goldfinger character from the 1964 James Bond movie, best remembered for murdering a woman by painting her gold. Some observers were quick to draw parallels between Make Sunsets and a decade-old incident in which an American entrepreneur, reportedly poured. Oh, guys, yeah, and people have talked about this a lot too. Poured 100 tons of iron sulfate into the ocean in an effort to spawn a plankton bloom that could aid salmon populations and suck down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Critics say it violated international restrictions on what's known as iron fertilization, which were in part inspired by a growing number of commercial proposals to sell carbon credits for such work. Some believe it subsequently stunted research efforts in the field. Or did it? Because you have people still talking about this as a viable thing to do. Safe and effective, of course. Yes, Max Sargé. We thought it was perfectly safe. We could have lost our jobs. Right, of course. Pastor and others stress that Make Sunset's efforts underscore the urgent need to establish broad-based oversight and clear rules for responsible research in geoengineering and help determine whether or under what conditions there should be a social license to move forward with experiments or beyond. As MIT Technology Review first reported, the Biden administration is developing a federal research plan that would guide how scientists proceed with geoengineering studies. Balloon launches. By Eisman's own description, the first two balloon launches were very rudimentary. He says they occurred in April somewhere in the state of Baja California, months before Make Sunsets was incorporated in October. Eisman says he pumped a few grams of sulfur dioxide into weather balloons and added what he estimated would be the right amount of helium to carry them into the stratosphere. He was checking things out. He expected they would burst under pressure at that altitude and release the particles. Helium to carry them into the stratosphere. Okay, so you're going to send these balloons up in the stratosphere. It's not clear whether that happened, whether the balloons ended up, where the balloons ended up, or what impacts the particles had, because there was no monitoring equipment on board the balloons. Why would you do this? This is fishy. Everything about this is just fishy as all get out. Nothing about this makes sense. Why would you send a balloon up with sulfur dioxide particles and no monitoring equipment? Why would you not even want to know what the results were? Why would you just do that? Just, seem like something to do. Are you like 12 years old? We're just going to shoot some stuff in the air and see, just because fire are good, rockets, balloons are cool. What? This is weird. So we don't know. Nobody knows. Eisman also acknowledges that they did not seek any approvals from government authorities or scientific agencies in Mexico or elsewhere before the first two launches. This was firmly in science project territory, he says, adding, basically it was to confirm that I could do it. Okay. A 2018 white paper raised the possibility that an environmental, humanitarian, or other type of group could use this simple balloon approach to carry out a distributed do-it-yourself geoengineering scheme. In future work, Make Sunsets hopes to increase the sulfur payloads, add telemetry equipment and other sensors, eventually move to reusable balloons, and publish data following the launches. Whoa, that's great. The company is also attempting to earn revenue from the cooling effects of future flights. It is offering to sell $10 cooling credits for releasing 1 gram of particles in the stratosphere, enough, it asserts, to offset the warming effect of 1 ton of carbon for 1 year. I mean, capitalism is the best and the greatest and also the coolest. So a lot of people would be like, well, of course, we should just go forward with this. And this could be a real moneymaker. You know what I'm saying? It could sell us a lot of carbon credits. What I want to do is create as much cooling as quickly as I possibly can over the rest of my life, frankly, Eisman said, adding later that they will deploy as much sulfur in 2023 as we can get customers to pay us for. The company says that it has raised $750,000 in funding from Boost VC and Pioneer Fund, among others, and that its early investors have also been purchasing cooling credits. The venture's firms didn't respond to inquiries from MIT Technology Review before press time. A terrible idea. Talati was highly critical of the company's scientific claims, stressing that no one can credibly sell credits that purport to represent such a specific per gram outcome, given vast uncertainty at this stage of research. What they're claiming to actually accomplish with such a credit is the entirety of what's uncertain right now about geoengineering, she says. Kelly Wanser, executive director of Silver Lining, a nonprofit that supports research efforts on climate risks and potential interventions like geoengineering, agreed. From a business perspective, reflective cooling effects and risks cannot currently be quantified in any meaningful way, making the offering a speculative form of junk credit that is unlikely to have value to climate credit markets, she wrote in an email. Talati adds that it's hypocritical for Make Sunsets to assert they're acting on humanitarian grounds while moving ahead without meaningfully engaging with the public, including with those who could be affected by their actions. They're violating the rights of communities to dictate their own future, she says. David Keith, here he goes, one of the world's leading experts on solar geoengineering, says that the amount of material in question, less than 10 grams of sulfur per flight, doesn't represent any real environmental danger. A commercial flight can emit 100 grams per minute, he points out. Oh. So there you go. It's already been happening. How? Just by doing the stuff we're doing. It's interesting that they added this. A commercial flight can emit 100 grams per minute, he points out. Keith and his colleagues at Harvard University have worked for years to move forward on small-scale stratospheric experiments known as ScopeX, which has been repeatedly delayed. But he says he's troubled by any effort to privatize core geoengineering technologies, including patenting them or selling credits for the releases, because commercial development cannot produce the level of transparency and trust the world needs to make sensible decisions about deployment. Key says a private company would have financial motives to oversell the benefits, to downplay the risks, and to continue selling its services, even as the planet cools to lower than pre-industrial temperatures. That sounds terrible, right? David Keith and everybody else is like, oh, the horrors. But maybe this will get us, get the temperature down to pre-industrial levels, right? Doing it as a startup is a terrible idea. For its part, the company says it's operating on the best modeling research available today and that it will adjust its practices as it learns more and hopes to collaborate with nations and experts. Here it is. Here's the payoff, guys. It will adjust its practices as it learns more and hopes to collaborate with nations and experts, David Keith, to guide these efforts as it scales up. Got it? Have you got it? Do you understand now? Oh, we're just going to do it anyways. Oh, what? Oh, you guys want you want to input? You want to give me your advice, your expert advice? You guys want to, guide how we're doing it? Oh, I guess we're doing it. Whoa, look at that. And carbon credits too. I guess we're doing it. I mean, that's the whole tone of this article is like, well, I don't think that's a good idea at all. But maybe they can get the guidance from the experts in the nations and collaborate and do this in the right way, and then maybe it'll be okay. As the temperatures drop to pre-industrial levels, that's what we wanted all along, right? I mean, it's going to happen, right? You know this is going to happen. And yes, D-Truth has been going on for years. But you know it's going to happen regardless of the, oh my goshes, and oh, here we go. Oh no, this is terrible. That's interesting. Yeah, William, we should have a Rockfin chat about this. Maybe not today, but on another day. But I'd like to get your input on it. I'm not even going to mention what we're talking about. Not even close. Anyways, critics stress that the time to engage with experts and the public would have been before the company began injecting material into the stratosphere, but they're already doing it, so hey, why don't we just go ahead and help them out? And that it's likely to face an icy reception from many in those parties now. I doubt it. I really doubt it. And yes, I agree with D-Truth. I think it's been going on already. I think to think that it's not going on is incredibly naive. All right, guys, I'm about to wrap it up. Checking in on the coffees. No coffees as of yet. We did get a Rockfin tip earlier from Kevin Shanholzer, who said right whales will be extinct sooner than expected. There's only 100 females left. Inflation Reduction Act allows business as usual for Maine lobstering, which uses equipment whales get caught up in. Yep, we read an article about that not too long ago. Yeah, you're right. Obsolete optics. So, yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of statements and releases of information about the military saying we want to control the weather. We want to, they studied all kind, they exploded nuclear bombs in the stratosphere and just to see what would happen. They released barium and strontium and all the things just to see what would happen. They did all kinds of research on this already. To act like, oh, we don't know, is ridiculous. All right, William, how you doing?
Can you hear me, Kev?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep that on the side. No worries.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a degree in resource economics. URI was offered grad assistantship, but I was a dumb football player. Didn't want to sit in an office, so I didn't take it anyway at the time. But the fisheries department, the Bay campus, they were monitoring fish catches and doing. The whole idea was to do cost benefit analysis studies on how to balance our impact on the environment based on statistics and so that things were not overfished and things were not decimated. And I tell you what, you can put out a study, it's right as rain, but politics, being what it is, and the lobbyists being what they are, it doesn't get anywhere.
Right.
Sometimes, it was very frustrating. It was disturbing, but I had this naive belief growing up that equal under the law. Let's start with that. And, that the evidence made a case. Pardon me. Evidence made a case, and what we're seeing is a complete wipeout of that in all areas, not just regarding environmental studies. Somehow or another, people can point out things that are so. I don't know. You can find scientists on both sides of everything. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Sure.
But then there's the experiential observation. I don't know what it's going to take. Anyway, we've been down this rabbit hole. I don't know. I just shake my head and wonder, bro. I have no idea what to do or say. There's those who will see no matter what, and those who won't.
Right. I don't know. The way things are looking now, it feels like we're just gonna kind of watch things just fall apart.
Oh yeah.
And we'll just we'll have a lot of talks about it. I think we'll have a lot of discussions about it.
No, we can't do jack. People forget the U.S. Army War College report. On climate change. Basically, by 2050, there's going to be such migration out of areas that are drought-stricken and too hot to live in. They don't even think they can maintain order, according to that report.
Yeah. Well, here's some things that'll definitely happen in the future, in the near future. We will have cities that will be climate resistant cities. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know if that involves like domes or being underground or being like somewhat closed off, being able, having the ability to close yourself out of the climate for certain parts of the year. Mm. We'll see lots of geoengineering. We'll see all kinds of craziness for sure in the coming years, right? As things get kind of disintegrate. And I don't know what kind of discussions we're going to be able to have around like better solutions to this, because people will just be going, headlong into like survival mode.
And the people who suffer the most, people who had the least impact,
right?
Get money,
right?
Right. It's totally messed up.
It is.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the call. Talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks, William. All right, guys. Thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I'm going to sign off now, and I will see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for hanging on out every day with me. I do appreciate you. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, peace.